Hi, Whisky lovers. We are here at Whisky Live Warsaw, and today we are having a great guest from Compass Box. Say something about yourself. What is your name, sir?
Pierre-Marie.
Pierre-Marie. Oh, it is a very nice name. Are you French?
I am French. I am French indeed.
Why does the French people are running the Compass Box business?
We're not, but if you think about Compass Box, it's an American guy that founded it. Today, the CEO is Irish. The director of marketing is American. Up until recently, my UK counterpart was South African. So, Compass Box is just like the whiskey we make. It's just a blend of everything.
A blend of everything and multinational brands.
Yeah, absolutely.
And amongst all these multinational brands, what is your favorite whiskey? And why?
What is my favorite whiskey? Are we talking in general or in Compass Box?
No, just tell me about the Compass Box preference.
It's always a funny one because in Compass Box we'd say that, depending on when and why and who with, you're not going to drink the same thing. So if it's summer or winter, if you smoke or you don't smoke, if you had dinner or not, and just if you're 20, 30, 40 years old, your palate evolves, right?
Yeah.
So
but for now,
yeah.
You are 38. You told me that. So now, tell me. For now, what is your favorite Compass Box?
If I have to name just a few, for me, Hedensum is one of my favorite ones. It's the first one we've ever made. It's the first blended grain ever. It's smooth. It's silky. It smells of vanilla and coconut. It's just an all-around, everyday, amazing whiskey. And if I was able to go in the past, there's a limited edition that we did called Ethereal. And Ethereal was a limited edition we did for Whisky Live Paris a couple of years ago. And it was the resurrection of our first blended malt. And our first blended malt, Eleuthera, was Kleinish and Kaolila. So the idea was, how can you make fruity and smoky at the same time? And Ethereal was that. And it was the best of both worlds for me. And today, if I had to drink one thing today at Whisky Live Warsaw, it would be one of our newest releases called Nectarosity. Nectarosity is a blend scotch. It tastes like cake, honey, apricot. It's snack time. It's 4 p.m. at some point anywhere in the world. So that's
one
what you
of my
want.
favorite sentences. There is like 4 p.m. somewhere in the world.
It's always 4 p.m. somewhere.
Time.
So yeah, Hedensum, Ethereal, or Nectarosity.
So slightly different from my end. I would say my favorite is Orchard.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm from Normandy, so I get it.
But if I'm thinking about, yeah, you are right. It's all about the time. When I'm thinking about the time and the different time, I would say that the Flaming Heart.
Flaming Heart. Well, yeah. But again, you wouldn't drink Flaming Heart neat on a Sunday afternoon. When it's 28. Yeah, you would.
But if it's like 28 degrees, yes, you are right, I wouldn't. But
Orchard House is perfect for this, for instance.
Yeah, that's true. This time I would prefer Orchard. So going further into Compass Box, my next question would be about the difference between Compass Box and other blended malts or blended malts whiskey. How you think? What is the difference between your company, what you are creating, and other blended malts or blends in general?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we don't see ourselves as blenders. We see ourselves as whiskey makers, which is the word on every bottle. I believe it slightly varies from a traditional blending house. We're not a distiller, but we're not just a blender, right? So we try to go further than just an age, a name of a distillery, a famous wine cask, that sort of things. We draw from experiences, we draw from themes, we draw from feelings. We have, you mentioned Flaming Heart. It's a whiskey based on music, right?
Really?
Yeah, what does rock and roll taste like, Flaming Heart is an old rock and roll song. And if you look at the label, there's a lot of rock and roll kind of nods to it. We've always talked about drinking creatively, right? We want to take people to uncharted territories when it comes to drinking Scotch. The ethos of Compass Box is we want to make the world of Scotch whiskey a more interesting taste, and I think that's what differentiates us between classic blenders, which are great, and us. We just want to do things slightly differently.
You know what I like about your company and your ways of producing the whiskey or producing the blends? It's like you are the only one who are putting information, in many cases, the information at the label, what is there and how many percent of each distillate is there, how you created it.
I mean, at the end of the day, I always say on whiskey shows such as this, I always say, if you invite friends over to your place and you cooked, you're proud of it, you're going to tell them, you're going to tell them that you went to the market at 4 a.m. and you cooked for 12 hours, or you've managed to get that fine bottle of wine, or you've managed to get that rare piece of meat, because you're happy and you're proud and you want them to be as happy as you. And I think that's what it is, when you're happy about everything. And also, again, we're not just showcasing a whiskey, we're showcasing a distillery type. When we say Kleinisch, when we say Kaulila, when we say other places, we're not taking Kleinisch 12 or 14, we're not taking Kaulila 12. We're taking whiskies from their distilleries and we're making them something else. So that's why we're so transparent.
New kind of art, right? New kind of art, the whiskey art.
Yeah, and it is kind of an art.
Regarding the whiskey art, the next question should be about your labels. So your labels are quite unique and very artistic. Yeah. So where do you get the inspiration from to have the labels like this?
Well, at the end of the day, we think that whiskey is just more than liquid in a bottle. They have their own complete biosphere, right? Every whiskey has a rich story, and the label should have so as well. So we work with a great company called Stranger and Stranger for over a decade now, and they help us to bring these labels into fruition. When we have a new idea for a whiskey, it'll be, as I said, it'll be a particular theme. It'll be a place, it'll be a song, it'll be something, and it will give us a spark for the creative direction for the label, right? But obviously, some of the labels are more literal for the core range. Like that's what we wanted for Orchard House, Peat Monster, Crimson Cask, Nectar. We want people to understand what they're going to drink before they drink it. The label's already there for them. But when it comes to limited editions or some older stuff, it's all about the idea of the whiskey, where it came from, and then how can we shape that into an image. And I think if you know about Stranger and Stranger, I think they do an amazing job at that.
Mm-hmm. So you are already answering some part of my next question. So what is the process of creating new whiskey, new idea? How you are getting the idea from to create a new blend?
So so there's I don't like quoting people because it makes me sound like an asshole. But there was a quote that John Glazer, our founder, was particularly fond of. It was a quote from Picasso, and I think it goes like, it starts with an idea, then it becomes something else. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. We do our whiskeys again are. It's always a theme. It's always an idea. It starts with a theme. Apart from maybe there's one example, it was Velikor. Velikor is the counterexample. Velikor comes from a book called The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, which is a book that John read. I have it at home. It's great. It's a fake dictionary of fake words, of fake definitions. And Velikor was, the...
But it isn't a fake whiskey.
It's not a fake whiskey, but that was the opposite, John read Velikor and he was like, oh, that word, the idea of a second-hand bookshop. How can we turn that into a whiskey? But other than that, Flaming Heart, songs, art and decadence. What is decadence? What is the decadent movement? Circle number 2, which we have downstairs, what does color taste like? How can we make a whiskey with a guy that has synesthesia, that will see colors when he drinks spirits? It always comes from a theme. That's I think that's the process, And obviously, as you go through, some ideas don't work, or you realize it might not be the right whiskey. So there's a lot of trial and error as well. It's not as artistic as we would like it to be. You try, but it always starts with an idea, and then it becomes something else.
Going further with the question, I'll ask you a little bit about innovation, because you mentioned John Glazer, and you mentioned this one of the oldest blends you had? Probably this was the oldest.
Which
the one
one?
with the boots.
Velikor?
Or was
no,
it
the General.
Angel?
The
The
General.
General. General. Yeah,
The General
you're
was
right.
probably 30 and 40.
Yeah, but the General was like before
It's
my
a, it's,
whiskey
a,
era.
it's a unicorn.
Yeah, it's a unicorn. Yes,
That was
yes.
amazing.
So, Compass Box is a pioneer.
Yeah.
You are innovators. And what new projects and or innovations are you like implementing or are you trying to implement in the future? Can you share something about
Sure.
that with us?
I'll share one very concrete example, and then I'll share very vague stuff.
Okay.
So very soon we're going to be launching something called the Secrets of Smoke, where we want to show the characteristic of peat, because peated whiskies often contain an inherent sweetness or fruitiness that you might not get because it's peated. It's a bit too strong. There's a lot of people that can't get that, but if you play with wine casks or sherry casks, you're going to bring that inherent sweetness and fruitiness. And so that's what Secrets of Smoke is going to be about. It's going to showcase that aspect of peat that we don't think has been shown enough in peated whiskey. And then again, some people have done it with sherry casks and wine casks and everything, but we wanted to bring our stone to this and showcase something different. And on the other side, I can also mention maybe a possible future collaborations with distillers not from Scotland. And when I mean that, I say grain distillers.
Still,
because
you're going
yeah,
to grains.
we always loved grain. I mean, Henningsen was the first, but we're looking at stuff, and we're looking at various countries that make grain whiskey, not malt, grain whiskey, to see the difference between Scotland and their countries and what it could bring to a blend. Again, it doesn't mean anything yet. Just because we try it doesn't mean it's going to get into a bottle.
Sure, but
that's
still,
something we're looking at.
This is the process of creation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Trial
and error. So that's something we're looking at.
So I'm going to ask one more question, the last one, because we are definitely going in the right direction, but we are here at the festival and would like to have fun more. So what are the biggest challenges in creating the whiskey? When you are choosing the proportions, and how much time do you spend in creating or composing the whiskey itself?
Yeah, okay. So the biggest challenge when you want to include a component is super easy. You love it
or you hate it.
No, you love it, but it's too expensive. Because at the end of the day, we do our limited editions where kind of, what happens. We do the taste and everything, but sometimes we want to make sure it's at a certain price as well, because we're not like other places, and we want to make sure even, Velikor was, whatever, 400 plus euros, but for what was inside, it was actually very decent. So that's the worst, because you're going to do it to satisfy your own curiosity. You're going to make that blend, and you can never sell it, and that's horrible. That's one of the worst. Or sometimes you make something and it's good, but you want to tweak it. You're like, if I add this or this, and you could tweak it forever, and there's no end. So you must understand there's always a point where everyone agrees. Everyone agrees that it's where it could be true to itself, and there's no reason to go further. You could. There's no reason. It's in blending. It's like in cooking. It's important to know when to stop. And how much time. Time varies on every blend. Like Traveling Circus, which we just did for duty free, was made in one take. It was made from. It was made from. Yeah, it was made from the circus. We knew where we were going. One take. But for instance, we did a bespoke a couple of years back with Walk Longlands, which is a distributor in Lithuania, and we gave them the first sample, and they were like, and then we did more, and we ended up coming back to the first one because that was the best eventually. But we didn't realize it before we tasted everything else. And I mentioned earlier Circle Number 2. Circle Number 2, the guy at Synesthesia. So James worked with Manny, a British bartender who at Synesthesia, and it took 30 iterations because James knows had to learn how to see the colors Manny was seeing when he was doing the scotch. So that was new and unique and hard. So yeah, from 1 to 30, it's nice. How clear is the vision? And what do you want to do with it? And also, when do you know when to stop?
So, you use the words, not only the words, but you used the metaphor of cooking a lot.
Yeah.
So I believe there's a time we should cook each other with some good alcohol. Pierre, thank you very much for your time, and it was also my pleasure to having you here.
Na zdrowie.
Na zdrowie, cheers.
Santé.
Guys, so we have Pierre here from Compass Box. Go there, check everything what they have.
It's 10.29.
Spend all your coupons there and have fun on Whisky Live Warsaw.
There's still a bit of Circle 2 at the stand.
Yeah, thank you very much and cheers.